Welcome to Smart Brown Voices, your weekly podcast featuring diverse voices from around the world, giving you insights on how others made it big in their respective fields. Now sit back, grab a notebook, and get ready to be inspired. And don't forget to use hashtag #SmartBrownVoices to share insights, moments of wisdom, and things from the show that inspire you. And now, here's your host, social media nerd and technology activist, Mr. Mike Street.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Mr. Mike Street, and we're back with another episode of Smart Brown Voices. It's fall, so it's kind of chilly right now. It was hot last week in New York, but now it's decided that it wanted to be fall, and so now we're all wearing jackets. So summer is officially over, and the world has gone officially crazy. Once again, there was a tragedy struck in Las Vegas. And I think a lot of us are kind of just looking for like solutions and how can we take care of ourselves better from a mental perspective. And today's guest, whose name is Mario Stark, like Tony Stark, is going to talk to us about his company that is doing just that. So welcome to Smart Brown Voices, Mario.
Thank you very much, Mike. Thank you. And by the way, it's Starks with an S.
Oh, okay. I got you. Some people like to put that extra S on street and call me Streets, so I get it. Cool. So tell us a little bit about the company that you have put together that's focusing on self-care.
Yeah, Mike. And so you raised a lot of good points about what's going on in the world lately. And so, the Soul Sense box is a self-care package that promotes mindfulness and creativity. It really does tackle the mental health awareness area that we need to be a little bit more focused on, I think, within the Black and Brown communities. But just in light of what's happened in Las Vegas is really interesting because I think that, like you said, a lot of people are just trying to make sense of the world, and they just need a little piece of joy or that little piece of something that will trigger a change in their environment or just give them something to smile about, at the end of the day. And so I thought to create a care package, given the state that I was in last year. Last year, I was going through my own personal bout with mental depression. And also around November, the entire country, I think, was a bit in shock. Just where we found ourselves, with the
Tell me about it.
Yeah, that's an understatement, right? But like, it was just such a depressed mood in a lot of parts of the country, and so this was around the time last November as well when I was going through my mental depression. So I was out in California at the time, actually visiting my family both in Southern California and also in the Bay Area. And so coming back to New York after visiting my family and after, experiencing this election cycle, it really was on me. And I was actually struck with a vision or dream to create this care package for people, something that would just uplift the vibrations, the mood. And so the care package includes things like aromatherapy essentials. It's got incense sticks that I source right here from Harlem. It's got essential fragrance oils. It includes like honey nectar body butter, wall art, beautiful imagery just to stimulate your visual senses. And it also includes ginger tea. So it's just like, I'm trying to invigorate all the senses in a way that will just, really promote self-care. And I think that as we do those little things, that make us smile and happy, that's really the way that we fight back or crawl back from this sort of state of chaos that we see ourselves in now, as is reflected by the event in Las Vegas this weekend. So yeah, that's sort of the gist of Soul Sense box, and it's really, 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 really. It launched in January, Mike. I finally had the box in my hands in January. I was so excited, and it had a lot of success up until Mother's Day. And then, of course, the summer slowed. So I'm looking forward to restarting things now that people are back in school and, that the summer is over.
Excellent, excellent. Take us through the process. You know, a lot of our listeners are first-time business owners, entrepreneurs who are looking for, ways that they can, start a business. So take us through the process of creating this box service because we've seen a lot of these out there in the marketplace, but I think a lot of people are still, in the dark about how they would go about starting their own box service.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, a lot of research is required on it. I think there's not really, I'm not claiming to be a subject matter expert when it comes to box subscription services. I really just was passionate about creating a self-care package to tackle wellness. And so I found myself researching and discovering that there was this whole industry around subscription boxes. And so what I did first is I kind of just looked at, what was out there. I did find some similar boxes, like there's a Buddha box and some other type of like Zen type boxes. So of course it's important to be mindful of the competition out there, but I didn't really see anything that was really addressing it in a style, in a season, in a way that, that would appeal to Black folks, basically Black and brown folks. So that's kind of what led me with the Soul Sense box. Ask me another question that's a little bit more specific, and I can probably.
All right, so let's start with the packaging. How did you come up with the design for the box?
So I actually, I really had a dream that I had the vision of the box itself. I knew what color the box needed to be. I've always been passionate about the color yellow. I just think it embodies, sun and happiness and all these things that we enjoy. So yellow was definitely a part of the brand. I knew that had to be taken into consideration. Then the logo, I went and searched for, I forget the exact name, but it's a traditional symbols that are throughout West Africa. And the symbol that I chose was after the kola nut. It represents unity and strength. And so I really wanted to tie that into the branding as well. So that's sort of how that came together. I actually took the box to Nicholas Variety, or I took the idea that morning that I had woke up with the dream. I actually could not go to work because I was just that jacked up about, just executing on this idea. I had to give birth to this idea. And so I called in sick so that I could go out throughout the city and actually prototype, collect the items that I wanted to see in this box. So I went to Nicholas Variety, which is a popular, store that sells like shea butter and incenses and stuff like that here in Harlem. It's been in Harlem for over 20 years, and now he's got a store in Brooklyn. So when I went there, Nicholas, the owner of the store, he was actually there that morning by coincidence. And so I told him what I was looking to do and told him what types of items I was looking for. And he sort of helped me pick out the items. And he even, he saw that I was a young businessman trying to do something entrepreneurial. So he really helped me out with prices and stuff like that. So when I came back home, I actually had, that same day, I had the website up. I had the domain name secured. I had the logo done. I had the box prototyped. It was that clear in the vision that was given to me.
So where do you source the actual physical box from itself? Do you have a supplier that you go to get the actual boxes, and do they do all the printing and all that stuff?
Yes, I had to do all the research, of course, when it came to finding print manufacturers. I wanted to make this very New York centric. I wanted to make it so that it would support as well, like artists and vendors, and make it a completely made in New York product. Unfortunately, with the box, I couldn't find, a competitive price to manufacture the box here in New York. So I found a company in Portland, Oregon. The name escapes me right now, Mike, but I can, email that to you so you can provide maybe in the show notes.
Sure.
But you can search online. There's a lot of custom box manufacturers, which is really what I would encourage people to do to scout and find the best quotes and prices. But, I found it just by doing a basic Google search, what companies manufacture boxes, and went from there.
Now, what was was there a process for you to select the box size? Because I know I've seen some boxes that are huge or some that are really small. What was kind of your thinking and coming and looking for the box size itself?
Yeah, that's an interesting question because that I went back and forth several times on what size box. I was like, should I do a perfectly square box, 8 by 8? And so that's when I really did a lot of just reconnaissance work. I was going online, of course, looking at the size and dimensions of popular boxes like the Birchbox and some others. But I also, the main thing I realized is you have to take shipping into consideration. And so, like, packages need to be under a certain weight to get, a certain postage rate, and all those things had to be factored in. So I realized that in doing the box, initially I was going to do an 8 by 8 size box, but of course I realized that the incense sticks would not fit in that size box. So then I had to go back and refactor and actually change the size of the box last minute so that it's more rectangular in shape. And I also cut what are traditionally 11-inch incense sticks. I cut them down to size to 9 inches so that they fit snugly in the box. So it was really about, I knew that the box was a prototype. I knew that this wasn't the first edition of the box. So I was less caught up into like, how do I make this perfect, perfect, perfect? Let me just run and execute with this. And then I can always reiterate and come up with different sizes later, so that was sort of my approach.
Now, from a month-to-month basis, as the box, does the items in the box change? Like, so are we subscribing to the box, or is it, kind of a one-off?
Yeah, so when I first started, I had to debate too, like, do I want to offer a subscription model or just a on-demand, you order as you need type service. And so, I was really researching a lot of that. And to be honest with you, the subscription box business is not a very, at least in the research that I've done, I didn't view it to be a very profitable business. It also didn't seem to be very sustainable, at least not to the lifestyle that I wanted to mold for myself. I like to travel a lot. So shipping a box out monthly wasn't really an ideal scenario for me in January. So I actually launched it sort of going and actually promoted the box as not being a subscription service, and it is a on-demand box. Now in October, however, I am now going to make it a subscription box, and that's really just based on customer demand. People obviously are wanting, to re-up on their incense. People love the teas and the fragrance oils. And so it just was natural to offer this box on a monthly basis. So yes, every month there will be a different theme. There will be a different like sensory theme. There will also be different affirmations and meditation prompts, along with like different visuals. Like the contents from a foundational, level, they'll be the same. You'll still get a supply of incense. You'll still get a different supply of soaps, fragrance oils, and teas, but you'll get a different variety of these things on a monthly basis.
Awesome. So, what do you think are some of the hard costs? Because you have to buy all of these products, right, to fit into the box. So, what would if someone's looking at starting their own service, what do you think is kind of the monthly number that they're really going to have to spend to kind of supply their customer base?
I mean that really varies so much. I think it's really important, and this is a lesson that a lesson learned that I can share for anybody going into this. Of course, with business in general, we tend to be afraid to price ourselves based on the value that we really, or based on what we should be pricing to make it a profitable venture. And so I definitely feel like I, underpriced the box a little bit and didn't take into consideration fully all of the costs, the non-material costs, Mike. So that's what I would advise is just for people to be mindful of. Yeah, you got the inventory and all of that. And for me, Mike, I sort of went into this. I couldn't necessarily invest in the box at scale initially, which is sort of why I was prototyping it. So my costs for inventory, even though I was able to negotiate, and this is what I would suggest, is that you find the vendors for the products that you're wanting to source, make direct contact with them, build a relationship just like any other company would at the end of the day, and negotiate terms that are mutually beneficial for the two of you. But just initiating that conversation, you can almost always get your pricing down. But even with that said, I wasn't able to buy like 1,000 or 100,000 boxes at one time to get in scale. So you sort of have to have that approach. Like I'm gonna, it's a balancing act. It's sort of like, how many boxes can I get without losing totally my profit margin, while then at the same time allowing me to go back to inventory later at a larger scale. So that's actually the challenge that I'm still in the midst of overcoming. And so check back to me perhaps later. But that's the advice that I would give people right now, is just to really be mindful of your cost, and to reach out to, get opinions, lots of opinions, and, price, uh, price. Usually we need to price our products to a point where we as business owners feel a little bit uncomfortable. That's usually when we've hit that sweet spot.
And so let's talk about marketing because, in order to scale, a business like this, it really needs to be about, driving as much traffic to your website and then getting as many subscribers to convert, for the price point that you have your business at. In order for you to, generate at least 10,000 a month, you need about at least 300 monthly subscribers, so that you can get that as your monthly reoccurring revenue.
Sure.
So how are you marketing the business, and what are some, give us a little insights into your funnel of how you're getting, people to the website and then getting them to convert and become, subscribers or buyers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the number one challenge, right? So you have to try many, many things and constantly reiterate. So having that mindset, first of all, I think is really important. What I do, of course, you have to have a social presence that I think really uh, uh, connects to people. Showing, I have a Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook that are pretty active with Soul Sense Box, and so I'll share a lot of pictures, just inspiring pictures, motivational type things, so that the same experience you're getting through the box, that should be the same experience you get when you come to the website, soulsensebox.com, or when you go to the Instagram or the Twitter. You should kind of feel that same essence. So I think that we're doing a good job there. I also definitely engaged in Facebook paid advertising campaign, and learned a ton about Facebook advertising as a result. But that was really the biggest thing that sort of, I knew with a concept like this, you kind of have to hit the audience very quick, and you have to hit them hard, aggressively. And so I did engage in a very aggressive Facebook campaign that brought about a lot of traffic, and just, from there, things kind of spread virally. But you constantly have to, have a public face to your brand. Something that I'm doing now is speaking more about what I've been doing, about my passion for wellness and mental health, um, and just writing more, that sort of thing. I'm not really, I'm a behind the scenes guy, so me even being on this podcast with you, Mike, is sort of new for me. But I think as business owners, we have to represent our brands, because no one else is going to represent them for us. And I think as people start to connect with you as a person, that's sort of the mantra in business now, is that people need that personal connection with either the business owner or the product.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's, building building up the trust factor, and then, really giving something people value, when they come to the website, or saying that, this is something that's going to brighten up my day and make me feel better and give me that, that moments of joy that we're looking for. So I think that's really important with anything that any of our, listening audience is doing. You have to build that trust factor
Yeah.
into your business, and you really have to also become a likable person online,
Yeah.
uh, for people to follow you and be interested in everything that you're doing. So, you
And
know,
actually, I want to challenge
yeah.
that just a little bit too, but because there is, what is being likable online. I'm not sure that you need to necessarily be simply likable, but you do need to find your audience. You need to find the people that identify with the things that you like, because no one needs to go out there trying to be liked just for the act of being liked. Find your tribe basically.
Yes, exactly.
And so I think too, what you said about building trust and just getting a little bit more specific too about uh, funnels and things like that. One of the things that I engaged with as well is I set up a automated email series for subscribers, and I would highly recommend that entrepreneurs, if they're not already employing some sort of auto response or email series, to do so because it's a great way to stream communications and build that brand identity or that brand affinity um, through messaging that really communicates what your brand is all about and also shares with your subscribers ways in which they can engage with your brand. So I set up an email series of about, I think it was three emails initially, and I had always planned to extend that to maybe a series of 12 emails. But the first email, they would get a welcome email that would sort of share with them how to engage with social media and stuff like that. The second email, they would get a personal thank you, or well, it wasn't personal, but it was a thank you just from the owner of your support of Soul Sense Box, and please tell a friend. Here's what we're trying to do. And oh, by the way, here's a manifesto. I published a manifesto as well with the Soul Sense Box, which really just spoke to like uh, principles of what I believe when it comes to wellness. And so that's another way to find your tribe, as is to develop a manifesto around your brand and to push that out. So that combined with the email chain and the fact that I called the newsletter the Soul Sense Tribe newsletter, so it really was a way to create a community too around the box and around the brand. And I think that's just an essential component of business these days is that every business needs to have a community component, whether it's online or offline.
Awesome, awesome. Well, Mario, thank you so much for giving our audience some insights into starting their own subscription box service or on-demand box service. I think what you're doing is great. And, everyone listening out there, Christmas is coming. So if you're looking for a gift item and you want to support a Black business owner, then I think the Soul Sense box would be a really great, stocking stuffer or, reoccurring gift that you can give your loved ones. So make sure that you visit Soul Sense Box, and it's SENSE box.com. So you can check out everything that Mario has on his site.
Thank you so much, Mike. I appreciate it. And like I said, this is not something I normally do, but I'm really excited that I'm glad that you gave me the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to speaking with anybody who has any questions about the Soul Sense Box. Also, from a business perspective, happy to answer any questions.
Cool. And so let everyone know how they can follow you on the web.
Yeah, so you can definitely check out the website, soulsensebox.com. Also on Twitter at soulsensebox and also Mario Starks. You can find me on Instagram, Mindset Matters. Mindset Matters, or Mindset Definitely Matters. And also on Instagram at soulsensebox.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So, guys, that's it. We are almost at episode 90. Because that I told you guys what I'm doing is we're going to flip the show over to live streaming once we get past episode 90. So I'm waiting to book that next guest. And I think I really want to talk about the cannabis industry because we've been doing some really cool stuff behind the scenes in cannabis. So I may have a double episode with two of my favorite ladies who work in the cannabis industry, so they can both talk to you about their businesses. And one has already been a guest on our podcast before, so stay tuned for that. And then so episodes 91 through 100 will all be live streamed from Smart Brown Voices Facebook page. So make sure you go and subscribe to our Facebook channel so you can be ready to experience the live streams because we're bringing back 10 of my favorite guests from the past 90 episodes so that you can get updates on everything that they've been doing, because a lot of our guests who've been on this show have actually either got funding or got their own television shows. So there's a lot of stuff going on with the Smart Brown Voices community, and we want to make sure that everyone gets a good, thorough update as we move forward. And then after 100, I'm going to bring on a very special guest that I'm in the works on, someone I'm really excited to talk to, and really just push forward for the next 100 episodes. So thanks you guys so much for supporting the podcast, and we'll be back soon. And make sure that you also check out my new podcast with my brother, Everett Street. It's called Will It Black. And we're exploring the world of Black movies. You know, episode 1 is us doing a really deep dive into The Wiz, you know, starring Diana Ross, Michael Jackson, Nipsey Russell, Mabel King, and more. And then episode 2 is all about my favorite movie of all time, Poetic Justice. So check that out right here on the Smart Brown Voices Network. Peace.
Thanks for listening to Smart Brown Voices with your host, Mr. Mike Street. If you like what you just heard, we hope you'll leave a review on iTunes and tell your friends and colleagues. Be sure to check out our archive section on our website for previous podcasts, and make sure to follow us on social media. This has been a Mr. Mike Street production. Join us next time for another edition of Smart Brown Voices, and be inspired.